Very good evening. You're watching Primetime News on TV1. Bringing you the news tonight, I'm Steven Machado.
And I'm Chalani Ratnavira. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
New Grade 1 curriculum in effect.
2027 වර්ෂයේ 6 වන ශ්‍රේණිය සඳහා විෂයමාලා වෙනස ඇති කරමින් නව මොඩියුල අධ්‍යාපන ක්‍රමය වසරින් වසර ඇති කිරීමට අපි කටයුතු කරමින් ඉන්නවා.
SJB councillor granted bail after assaulting youth who questioned protest. IMF managing director to visit Sri Lanka next month. Namal's money laundering case postponed to July due to Attorney General's delay. Gold prices surge again. Global rates exceeds $5,500 per ounce.
In your top story tonight, academic activities under the revised Grade 1 curriculum commenced today in line with the new education reforms. The inaugural ceremony was held this morning at Gunasekara Vidyalaya, Aturgiriya, under the patronage of Education Minister and Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya.
The new education reforms are being implemented under 5 pillars: early childhood education, primary education from grades 1 to 5, junior secondary education from grades 6 to 9, senior secondary education stage 1 from grades 10 to 11, and senior secondary education stage 2 from grades 12 to 13. Under this framework, reforms to the primary education subjects for grade 1 came into effect today. This is an activity-based integrated subject series. Accordingly, 9 common learning areas have been introduced for grades 1 to 5. The common learning areas are mother language, English language, second national language, mathematics, religious and moral education, elementary science and environmental activities, integrated aesthetic education, health and physical education, and co-curricular activities. Minister of Education, Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya, who participated in the commencement of Grade 1 teaching activities under the subject reform, observed Grade 1 classrooms at Gunasekara Vidyalaya, Aturugiriya. The commencement of Grade 1 studies in 2026 was symbolically carried out under the patronage of the Prime Minister. Textbooks and uniforms were also distributed at the event.
ගුරු කේන්ද්‍රීය අධ්‍යාපනයක් වෙනුවට
We are working to establish a truly student-centered education system instead of a teacher-centered one, and to provide children with opportunities to learn happily through activities. These curriculum changes will be introduced gradually, starting from grade 1 in 2026 and extending up to grade 5 by 2030. We are also working to introduce a new modular education system year by year. However, we are working to include the children who were scheduled to enter grade 6 this year in this reform process. A plan is being prepared for that. Therefore, I must state clearly that we will not abandon those children.
ඒ දරුවනුත් අපි අතහැරලා යන්නේ නැහැ කියන එක මම මේ වෙලාවේ කියන්න ඕනේ.
Grade 1 curriculum reforms began today at government schools across the country.
Former Professor G.L. Peiris and several other ministers held a media briefing stating that introducing educational reforms without the necessary facilities is a serious issue.
Starting from grade 1, how many schools in this country have internet access? How many schools have proper computer technology? How many teacher training centers have these facilities? If these basic requirements are not provided before implementing reforms, what result can we expect? The burden will ultimately fall on parents. The social gap will not narrow. it will widen. For the majority of children in our schools, this will not create fairness but injustice. If reforms are imposed without first providing facilities to small schools and rural schools lacking resources, the outcome will never be positive. The government must address these issues first.
Professor G.L. Peiris is correct. Educational opportunities should be equal for everyone. But that is not the real issue here. This criticism comes from someone who served as a member of parliament for 24 years, 5 months and 9 days since 1994 and held powerful ministerial positions for most of that time. Positions held by Professor G.L. Peiris. 1994 to 2001, Minister of Justice, Constitutional Affairs and Industrial Development. 2001 to 2004, Minister of Constitutional Affairs and Enterprise Development. 2007 to 2010, Minister of Export Development and International Trade. 2010 to 2015, Minister of Foreign Affairs. 2020 to 2021, Minister of Education. 2021 to 2022, Minister of Foreign Affairs. He also held several other posts, including Deputy Minister of Finance. During all these years, did he take steps to fix the deficiencies in the education system for future generations? If those improvements had been made, where would Sri Lanka's education system be today? Former Education Minister Akila Viraj Karyawasam also joined the press briefing with further criticism.
We try to give tabs to students. We have prepared all the content. What happened in the end? If children had received those tabs during the COVID-19 period, they could have continued their studies from home. Funds had been allocated too. But progressive initiatives like this, gateways to the future, were ridiculed and opposed for petty political reasons. What has happened today? We must understand global trends and reform education accordingly. If not, we will become a nation that is left behind.
Akila Viraj Karyawasam is right. If tabs had been distributed, education could have been advanced significantly. But here is what really happened when the tab distribution program was introduced. In the 2017 budget, 5 billion rupees was allocated to provide tabs to school children. The proposal was later expanded to include teachers as well, and on the 19th February 2018, it was presented to Cabinet. At that time, then President Maithripala Sirisena instructed that the proposal required further study. However, Akila Viraj resubmitted the same proposal to Cabinet without any changes. When the Presidential Commission of Inquiry on Fraud and Corruption in State Institutions investigated in 2019, the truth became clear. The tender process for purchasing tabs was postponed 4 times. During the tender opening, 3 members of the evaluation committee, including representatives of the Telecommunication Regulatory Commission, were absent. Based on the selected company's quoted price, the project would have cost 7.4 billion rupees, even though only 5 billion rupees had been allocated. The chosen company later negotiated with another company to reduce the price. When questioned, commissioners asked why discussions were held with only one company and not all 8 bidders. Ministry officials told the Commission that they were instructed to proceed. However, the process was not conducted properly. The additional secretary in charge of procurement at the Ministry of Education told the Commission that the procurement process was highly irregular. According to the cabinet paper submitted by Akila Viraj, the recommendation was not for the lowest bidder, but for the third lowest, causing a potential loss of 1.2 billion rupees. Another cabinet paper was later submitted to increase the project cost to 6.78 billion rupees. Despite all this, the intention was to buy outdated tabs using an enormous sum of public money. This is what happened when Akila Viraj and others were in office, attempting to provide tabs to school children. And now, with such a history, they appear at media briefings criticizing educational reforms. For your attention.
A tense moment unfolded during the Samagijana Balavege protest held in Kalutara yesterday against education reforms when a party urban councillor confronted a young man on the roadside. The incident occurred when SJB councillor Jainath Navaratna reacted aggressively after the youth questioned the purpose of the protest. Navaratna allegedly assaulted the young man after he asked whether there were any cattle left to eat rice. Following the assault, officers of the Kaluthara South Police arrested the SJB councillor and produced him before court today. He was released on 2 personal sureties of 100,000 rupees each. The case is scheduled to be taken up again on the 27th.
Will the grade 6 education reforms be scrapped? This is the answer given by Minister Nalinda Jayatissa in Kaluthara yesterday.
It was Sajid Premadasa along with Jagat Vithana and Dilip Chavira who said in Mathugama that these education reforms should not be brought to the school students of this country. They have demanded to scrap these education reforms immediately. If that same Sajid Premadasa is now demanding again to implement the reforms, we will have to consider Sajid Premadasa's conscious thinking before the education reforms. I have said this before. If these education reforms are not implemented quickly, we will have more people like Sajid Premadasa in Sri Lanka moving forward. So this is also one of the factors for that. We really are implementing education reforms.
The Colombo Magistrates Court ordered that the case filed against parliamentarian Namal and 3 others under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act be postponed to the 30th of July due to the Attorney General's Department not yet providing legal advice.
A case was filed on allegations that Namal Rajapaksa, acting in his capacity as a Member of Parliament, committed an offence under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act by investing 15 million rupees allegedly earned through unlawful means into a company. When the matter was taken up before Colombo Chief Magistrate Asanges Bodaragama, CID officials informed court that they had already sought the Attorney General's advice regarding the next legal steps required in relation to the suspects. However, as the Attorney General's instructions had not yet been received, CID officers requested the court to grant another date for the case to be called.
Please note that these checks issued by the President have bounced. They have returned. So I think the IGP should look into that as well. The checks were given to the people affected by the cyclone. They hold ceremonies, but the check they give gets returned. Now this is what you call going bankrupt for real. Earlier they said the country was bankrupt, but checks didn't bounce back then. Now even the checks issued to people are being returned.
Is this statement made by MP Namal Rajapaksa regarding the financial assistance checks provided by the government true? The Divisional Secretary explained the origin of the incident reported from Rajangane, Anuradhapura on the 27th of January as follows.
The President handed over checks to 17 beneficiaries whose houses were completely damaged in the Rajangane division due to Cyclone Ditwa on the 9th of January 2026. We selected those whose houses were completely damaged after inspection. If it is possible to rebuild houses on the same site, this has been clearly stated in their circular issued to us. We are required to obtain certain documents regarding land clearance. The money will be released only after confirming ownership of the land. That is not an issue. At present, those official matters are being processed at the office. Regarding the dishonored checks, we have resolved the relevant issues and have taken the necessary steps to issue new checks and release the money. No, we inform the bank not to deposit the money into these accounts until we give official notice. Only after completing that process will we inform the banks to release the funds to the relevant individuals. No one's financial aid has been stopped. Initially, they agreed to build a house on the same site, but later they stated that they intended to purchase another house. Someone who is able to make such a purchase has the capacity to pay the full 5 million at once. Therefore, the money will be released without any hindrance to those who have confirmed these details. There should be no doubts. Do not create unnecessary problems. The money will definitely be released, but only if the house is built. The Lawyers Association of the United National Party, convening a media briefing, shared their views on the case against former President Ranil Wickremesinghe over allegations on spending 160 million rupees of public funds on a 36-hour foreign visit.
එතුමා මේ තමන්ගේ ගෙදරත් තමන්ගේ ඉස්කෝලේට පරිත්‍යාග
He is someone who donated his home to his school. So this is not a person who would spend 160 million rupees of public funds on his own trips. So what does this image actually show? According to the Attorney General, the trip was private. The Attorney General says that indictments will be filed against Ranil Wickremesinghe in March. This case was called 3 times. According to this post I just showed, it appears as if the allegations against Ranil Wickremesinghe are true. It appears as if court concluded that it was a private visit. That is not what happened. Firstly, we would like to ask the government not to mislead the people of this country at a time like this, when you are incapable of generating any news after failing to fulfill the promises you made following Cyclone Ditwa and after all the checks were returned.
වාර්තා කළා මිනිස්සුන්ව නොමග යවන්න එපා කියන එක.
අපි දැක්කයි ඒක බල වෙනවා මේ තානාපති කාර්යාලයෙන් ගත්ත ආරංචි මාර්ග අනුව එතුමාට ආරාධනාවක් කරා නම් තානාපති කාර්යාලයේ මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් වාර්තාවක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ.
ඉතින් දැන් මේකේ පැහැදිලිවම
It is clearly stated in this B report that when the president was connected to the relevant occasion, all transportation operations and security arrangements were coordinated through the embassy. This means that Ranil Wickremesinghe did not travel directly from here to Wolverhampton. We have all the documents and evidence in hand proving that the ambassador, along with the invited guest, President Ranil Wickremesinghe, also participated in the event. Therefore, these are the evidence that needs to be presented during the trial. I believe there is no issue with this. We have no doubts. We trust the court. However, we do have doubts regarding the Criminal Investigations Department.
උසාවිය හැබැයි අපිට අවිශ්වාසයි අපරාධ පරීක්ෂා දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව.
What did the investigation into this incident reveal? Additional Solicitor General Dilip Appiris informed the court yesterday that the investigation has revealed key facts regarding the allegations against Ranil Wickremesinghe.
Extract.
Your Honour, statements were recorded from former High Commissioner Saroja Sirasa and all members of the London High Commission regarding this investigation. In her statement, Mrs. Sirasa said that a seat had been reserved for Ranil Wickremesinghe on the balcony at the graduation ceremony and that he did not deliver any speech or engage in any official act there. She also said that the graduation ceremony was not exclusive to Maitri Wickremesinghe. Several graduates received degrees over a series of ceremonies held across multiple days. Your Honour, the first suspect had only been allocated a balcony seat. He was not an official guest at the ceremony.
At this point, the magistrate stated that based on the evidence submitted so far, it appears that Wickremesinghe's visit was a private one.
Extract.
From the investigations conducted, the court must be informed whether any material has surfaced indicating that this visit was undertaken for even a minor official purpose.
Extract.
Your Honour, no state leader attended this graduation ceremony to welcome Ranil Wickremesinghe. During the September 22nd and 23rd visit, the first suspect's secretary, the second suspect, Somisara Bandara Ekanayaka, did not accompany him. However, for the official visits to Cuba and the United States, from the 13th of September to the 20th, the second suspect was present. This clearly shows that the second suspect knew that the September 22nd and 23rd trip was not an official visit. That is why he did not participate. Furthermore, if this had been an official tour, photographer Chintaka Prasanna from the Presidential Media Unit would have travelled with him. In his statement, he says there are no photographs of Ranil Wickremesinghe's trip on 22nd and 23rd of September. If it were an official visit, would the official presidential photographer return without taking a single photograph? Your Honour, this makes it abundantly clear this was not an official visit.
Newsfirst with the people.
IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva is expected to visit Sri Lanka in February. A spokesperson for the IMF said that the visit is part of a planned Asia trip. IMF Asia and Pacific Department Director Dr. Krishna Srinivasan also announced the visit during his meeting with the President yesterday.
I've been to Sri Lanka 4 times. This is my 4th visit. And for the first time, I went to parts of Sri Lanka outside Colombo, and for 2 days. And there are 3 things I'd like to highlight from my trip outside Colombo. This is a very beautiful country and huge potential in terms of what it can achieve. That's number 1. Number 2, I saw for first hand, I saw the impact of natural disaster. In many parts, I saw flooding. I saw roads being, which need to be repaired. So our sympathies are with you and with the people of Sri Lanka for the lives lost and for the disaster, impact of the disaster. And the third thing, which also talking to people, there's huge appreciation for what the government has done for the people, and notably in the area of governance reform. I think these are three things which I want to flag to you, because usually we come to Colombo, we come for meetings. For the first time I went outside and learned quite a bit. So our heartfelt condolences for the disaster. The program was doing very well, and as you mentioned, this was an unexpected shock. I mean, and came at a very wrong time. The team is here. They've been talking to all your authorities, to all your colleagues, and I can say that, we are with you. Our full support is with you. Our managing director will be coming to Colombo next month, and she'll be here both to look at the success of the program and to express the solidarity we have with you. And this is for Sanjay and me, this is a slightly different mission. We have, this is a meeting of all our representatives in the region. And we had scheduled this meeting many months ago. And when the disaster happened, people said, maybe you should cancel. But I said, no, we want to express our solidarity with the people of Sri Lanka. So we are here. A big delegation of the IMF is there to talk about regional developments.
A special operation to identify bus drivers operating public passenger transport under the influence of drugs was conducted today in Panadura.
A special operation was carried out today at the Panadura main bus stand by the Road Passenger Transport Authority Western Province, the National Transport Medical Institute and Sri Lanka Police. The police said that during the inspections, 3 suspects were taken into custody for consuming drugs. During the inspections, another bus driver was found to have consumed drugs. An intense situation arose while authorities were attempting to take him to custody. The bus driver was later retested and the results confirmed that he had consumed drugs. Based on these test results, the bus driver was later taken into police custody. As of yesterday, over 800 cases related to narcotics have been filed across the country. The majority of those charged are 3-wheel drivers. There are also bus drivers. There was an accident in Baralla recently, and the bus driver involved in the accident was tested, and the test confirmed that he was under the influence of narcotics. More than 800 tests were conducted. People from all categories of vehicles were among this, with 3-wheel drivers making up the largest group. There are also a significant number of bus drivers.
අපි දැක්ක අද පාරදුරේ මේ පරීක්ෂණ කරද්දී මේ බස් රියදුරේ කියන ඔහු පොසිටිව් කියලා කිව්වා කියලා මම අවුරුදු 40ක් තිස්සේ කිසිම මද්‍රව්‍ය පාවිච්චි කරන්නේත් නැහැ බඩමුතරමේ මේ සිගරට් එකක් මේ අරක්කු ටිකක්වත් බොන්නේ නැහැ කියලා ඌ චෝදනා කරන පොලිසියට දැන් මෙහෙමනේ 87
Today 84 people were tested for narcotics and only 3 tested positive. Clearly not all 84 can be considered positive. The tests were conducted using urine samples and done by doctors recognized by the government. These things that they say are not scientific or logical and are often portrayed misleadingly by the media. That test was conducted twice and both tests were positive. The facts will be presented in court where people can prove their innocence before the judiciary. For the first time in history, the global gold market crossed the $5,500 per ounce mark today.
Accordingly, the price of an ounce of gold this morning stood at $5,588. Yesterday, the price was recorded at $5,164 per ounce. In the local market, the price of a 24-carat gold sovereign rose to 420,000 rupees today, an increase of 15,000 rupees compared to yesterday. The price of a 22-carat gold sovereign has also climbed, reaching 386,400 rupees. Economic analysts state that uncertainty surrounding favoring the US dollar has prompted investors and central banks around the world to increase gold purchases and build reserves, contributing to a continuous rise in global gold prices. Alongside this trend, the US dollar has weakened against other major global currencies. Today, the US dollar fell to 153.4 Japanese yen, while also declining to 0.72 against the British pound. The value of the Chinese yuan now stands at 6.95 per US dollar.
The second phase of the LOLC Divisavya You, Me, Our Nation social welfare program continued for its 26th consecutive day today. The operations were carried out centering on the Kandy, Badulla and Kurunegala districts.
The renovated facilities at Panya Ratana Madhya Mahavidyalaya in the Kandy district and Galoda Primary School in the Badulla district, both of which were affected by recent disasters, were handed over to the students this morning. Similarly, a renovated building at Vimala Surendra Vidyalaya in Kurunegala was officially handed over to the students this morning. Furthermore, the renovated constructions at Rangamua Primary School in the Kandy district and Narangala Tamil Vidyalayam in Badulla district were handed over to the students this afternoon. A renovated building at Dutukamnu Central College in Kurunegala was also handed over to the students this afternoon. The LOLC Divisavya Social Welfare Initiative is dedicated solely to the people of Sri Lanka.
For garden tools, b2b.lk.
A carcass of a dead black Highland leopard was found this morning at the Lakshapana estate. A group of estate workers heading for their morning shift today spotted the dead animal and alerted the estate management. Following a notification by the estate superintendent, officers from the Nalatanya Police and Wildlife Department arrived at the scene and began preliminary investigations. According to the initial observation of the wildlife officers, the black leopard is estimated to have died about 3 days ago. The exact cause of the animal's death has not yet been revealed. Investigations are underway to determine whether the death occurred due to natural causes, an accident or human activity. Our correspondent stated that the animal's carcass was sent to the Randanigala Wildlife Veterinary Hospital for further investigation and a post-mortem examination.
A Chinese cultural night featuring a range of vibrant cultural performances was held in Colombo yesterday. The Chinese Cultural Night, jointly organized by the Ministry of Culture and Tourism of China and the Chinese Embassy in Sri Lanka, was held at the Colombo Port City Special Economic Zone. The event showcased a vibrant display of Chinese culture featuring a series of colorful and captivating cultural performances that highlighted the country's rich artistic heritage and traditions. Chinese Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Ki Seng-hong, and Deputy Minister of Education, Dr. Mathura Senaviratne, were among the distinguished guests in attendance.
China and Sri Lanka are good neighbors and reliable partners who stand together through thick and thin. In recent years, under the strategic guidance of our leaders, political trust, mutual trust between our two countries has been continuously deepened. Practical cooperation has yielded fruitful results, and people-to-people exchange and culture exchanges have grown ever closer, bring tangible benefits to our peoples. The Colombo Port City, where we gather tonight, stands as one of the key achievements of our practical cooperation and flagship project under the Belt and Road Initiative. In 2014, Chinese President His Excellency Xi Jinping personally laid his foundation, made friendship with our two peoples remains as a solid as the foundation of the port city, enduring and ever renewed.
I attended the commencement of the port city as well in this very place about 10 years ago. So I'm witnessing the flourishing, the developing, the place, the development, witnessing. So I would like to express my sincere gratitude for the people, especially China. So it's a era of partnerships between China and Sri Lanka. So we are strengthening our partnerships, and we have to move forward with these kind of initiatives.
The evening stood as a celebration of cultural harmony, fostering deeper mutual understanding between China and Sri Lanka.
The Jeffrey Bawa Trust is set to launch a new national award that promotes design in harmony with nature. A press conference to mark the launch was held in Colombo, bringing together key voices from architecture, ecology and public policy.
The Namal Award, a new award introduced by the Jeffrey Bawa Trust, will recognize design that engages thoughtfully with ecological coexistence, responding to the vital need for human activity to exist in greater harmony with its environment. A press conference organized by the Trust was held yesterday, with the members of the awards steering committee delivering a presentation outlining the vision, scope and long-term goals of the initiative.
Thank you very much.
Speaking at the event, a prominent Sri Lankan architect Channa Daswatta highlighted that this new award will shift focus from celebrating buildings to recognizing design that respects ecology and the environment.
This year, the Trust and its partners are launching a new award to address the growing gap between design, ecology and the environment. And this particular award we are launching today is, of course, a new approach to giving an award for architecture. For 15 years or more, 5 cycles of the Jeffrey Bawa Award for Excellence in Architecture was awarded, and we also saw that it had a very strong impact on architecture and the practice of architecture in this country, and what was considered to be good and bad. The award never tried to sort of suggest or even look at works that looked like Bawa or followed his principles. It looked at good architecture. And I think for that period, we felt the Bawa Trust had done its best to recognize, identify good architecture in Sri Lanka. But recently we have felt that while good architecture is great, there is a much bigger crisis brewing, and that's the crisis with ecology and environment, and being one of the largest sort of businesses across the world. So the award is not really about sort of running around and saying, oh, look at this is just a new award, but it's something to turn our minds from centering our ideas on the object that is architecture to the space in which it is placed. The award will be a fellowship for people who are interested in making, so whoever gets the award will be given a fellowship to go around the region and share their ideas and their work with like-minded people in the region.
The press briefing brought together invitees from the architectural, ecological, design, policy, public and private sectors.
The 20th anniversary of the Russian Literary Circle was celebrated in Colombo today.
The celebration marking the 20th anniversary of the establishment of the Russian Literary Circle, affiliated with the Russian House in Colombo, was held today, coinciding with the 166th birth anniversary of the great Russian writer Anton Chekhov. The event was held under the patronage of Levan Zagorian, Ambassador of Russia to Sri Lanka, and the Minister of Buddha Sasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs, Dr. Hiniduma Sunil Senavi.
Прежде всего, хотел бы поздравить вас всех с 20-летием русского литературного кружка. First of all, I would like to congratulate you on the 20th anniversary of the Russian Literature Festival. I would like to thank you for your hard work and for promoting Russian literature, Russian art and strengthening Russia-Sri Lankan friendship.
Российско-шри-ланкийских дружественных отношений. Вы вносите очень большой вклад. Спасибо вам.
The magazine Literary Recognition was launched, including a collection of works by Sri Lankan writers writing in Sinhala, Tamil and English, edited and translated into Russian.
I have been thinking of a new concept that brings together three influential cultural landscapes: Russia, India and Sri Lanka. Specifically, I imagine a cultural triangle connecting Yasnaya Polyana in Russia, the village where the great thinker and writer Leo Tolstoy lived, and Jorashanko in Bengal, India, where the immensely influential Rabindranath Tagore lived, and finally Koggala in Sri Lanka, the village where our great writer Ranil Wickremesinghe, the sage of Koggala, lived. These three villages are not merely villages or territories. They are symbolic spaces that demonstrate how profoundly influential each of these countries has been culturally in the modern world. They are powerful centers of cultural energy. Through such a framework, we can create opportunities to engage with these three countries in a more sustainable, organized and legally structured manner, both culturally and socially.
While the Odukandavala Sirasa Literary Award was announced at the event, the year 2028 was also officially declared as the Leo Tolstoy year.
The remains of Lieutenant Colonel Chamita, an officer of the Sri Lankan Navy's elite special boat squadron and the first Sri Lankan to complete the US Navy SEAL training program and earn the prestigious SEAL Trident, was brought to his home last night.
The US Navy SEAL training program is recognized as one of the most grueling military training programs in the world. Lieutenant Colonel Chamita, an officer of the Sri Lanka Navy's Special Boat Squadron, completed this program after 14 months of rigorous training. Since last August, he became the first Sri Lankan to wear the prestigious special insignia of a US Navy SEAL. Lieutenant Colonel Chamita was found deceased at the naval quarters within the Valisada Navy camp yesterday. He was 28 years old at the time of his demise.
සාමාන්‍ය වෙල A9යි උසස් පෙළත් සවත් වුණා. විදුනා මේ මෙරින් ඇකඩමියට ගියා නේවි එකේ. ඊට පස්සේ ඉතින් ඒකෙන් ඒ කෝස් කරලා ඩිග්‍රිය සම්පූර්ණ කළේ ඉන්දියාවේ. ඊට පස්සේ ඇමරිකාවේ සීල් කෝස් එකට තේරුණා. ඊට ඉස්සෙල්ලා මේ පැරෂූට් කෝස් එක කරා. එයාබෝන් ඒ කෝස් කරා. ඊට පස්සේ ඇමරිකාවේ සීල් කෝස් එකට ගියා. ඒක එයා කොහොම හරි ඒ අමාරු එක කරා. ඊට පස්සේ ඉතින්
The final rites will be performed tomorrow at the Orotota Cemetery.
In international news, China has executed 11 members of the notorious Ming family criminal gang who ran mafia-like scam centers in Myanmar and killed workers who tried to escape.
China has executed 11 members of a notorious mafia family that ran scam centers in Myanmar along its northeastern border. The Ming family members were sentenced in September for various crimes, including homicide, illegal detention, fraud, and operating gambling dens by a court in China's Zhejiang province. The Mings were one of many clans that ran the town of Lokaing, transforming an impoverished backwater town into a flashy hub of casinos and red light districts. Their scam empire came crashing down in 2023 when they were detained and handed over to China by ethnic militias that had taken control of Lokaing during an escalation in their conflict with Myanmar's army. With these executions, Beijing is sending a message of deterrence to would-be scammers. But the business has now moved to Myanmar's border with Thailand and to Cambodia and Laos, where China has much less influence. Hundreds of thousands of people have been trafficked to run online scams in Myanmar and elsewhere in Southeast Asia, according to estimates by the United Nations. Among them are thousands of Chinese people and their victims, who they swindle billions of dollars from are mainly Chinese too.
British Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer has announced that UK citizens will be able to travel visa-free to China for trips under 30 days. He made the announcement while addressing the media during his official 3-day visit to China.
China has agreed to relax rules to allow some visa-free travel for British citizens today during a visit by British Prime Minister Keir Starmer to Beijing as part of a partnership deal which London hopes will help expand its service sector. Starmer said following his talks with President Xi Jinping, British citizens will be allowed to visit China without a visa if they are travelling for under 30 days, in what he cast as a win for business. The change brings the UK in line with countries including France, Germany, Italy, Australia and Japan. Meanwhile, pharmaceutical giant AstraZeneca, headquartered in the UK, announced a $15 billion investment in China. Pharmaceuticals make up the UK's second biggest goods exports to China.
A lot of the discussion was about how we open up access for those opportunities, focusing, as I always do, on how is this going to be delivered back in the United Kingdom, how does it benefit people back at home. And we made some really good progress on tariffs for whisky, on visa-free travel to China, and on information exchange and cooperation on irregular migration, focusing particularly on small boats and engine parts. So a very good constructive meeting with real outcomes.
Keir Starmer said while progress has been made in business opportunities and jobs, the biggest challenge continues to be ensuring that Iran does not develop a nuclear program.
And what I'd say to everybody here is that I always act in our national interest, and therefore the question for me is how does this accelerate and deliver back at home? I know that whatever's going on in the world, the most important thing to the vast majority of people is the cost of living. So opening up access to business, opportunities, seizing those opportunities, which then gets reflected in better businesses, in jobs, in price reductions at home, really, really matter. And so we made real progress on all of those areas. The big issue, the big challenge here is to ensure that Iran doesn't get a nuclear program.
Iran's elite Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps says the country's armed forces are fully prepared to respond to any military scenario. The warning came hours after US President Donald Trump reiterated a threat to take military action against the country.
Iran's foreign minister says that Iranian armed forces are ready to immediately and powerfully respond to any possible attack by the United States, hours after US President Donald Trump reiterated a threat to take military action against the country. Abbas Araghchi wrote on social media last evening, quote, "Our brave armed forces are prepared, with their fingers on the trigger, to immediately and powerfully respond to any aggression against our beloved land, air and sea," end quote. Araghchi's comments come just hours after Trump revived a threat to launch a military attack against Iran, which has been under growing pressure from Washington over a recent crackdown on anti-government protests. Trump referred to nuclear weapons despite repeatedly claiming that last year's US attacks obliterated the Iranian nuclear program. Trump has repeatedly indicated that he is considering ordering military action in response to Tehran's crackdown on anti-government protests this month, raising tensions across the region. The situation appeared calm after the demonstrations were quelled, and Trump said Iran had pledged not to carry out any planned executions of demonstrators. But tensions reignited again this week after the Trump administration moved the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier to the region, spurring fears of a military confrontation. European Union foreign ministers are also expected to impose new sanctions on Iran, which could involve travel bans and asset freezes on Iranian officials whom they think are responsible for killing thousands of anti-government protesters since late December last year.
In your sports news, Sri Lanka secured a commanding 5-wicket victory over South Africa in today's Men's Under-19 World Cup Group 1 encounter.
The South African under-19s won the toss and elected to bat first. Opener Yorick van Schalkwijk top scored for the South Africans with 116 runs off 130 deliveries. Adnan Lagadian added 46 runs to the scoreboard. Vigneshwaran Akash bagged 4 wickets for Sri Lanka, while Kavi Jagamage and Chamika Hinatikala took 2 wickets and 1 wicket respectively. At the end of their allotted 50 overs, South Africa put on a total of 261 runs for the loss of 7 wickets. Chasing a target of 262 runs, Viran Chamudita top scored for Sri Lanka with 110 runs. Senu Javakunugula scored 48 of 63 deliveries. Chamika Hinatikala and Dulnit Sigera steered Sri Lanka to victory and were unbeaten at the crease when Sri Lanka reached their target with 24 balls to spare.
The T20 cricket series between Sri Lanka and England is set to begin tomorrow at the Pallekele International Cricket Stadium.
Sri Lanka announced a 16-member squad for the series yesterday, with Dasun Shanaka leading the side. Kamindu Mendis, Trovin Matthew and Nuwan Tushara have been omitted from the previous 18-member squad that played the T20 series against Pakistan. Pawan Ratnayaka and Pramod Madhushan have been called up as their replacements.
Dhananjay Silva performed well in the last match of the previous series. It is difficult to drop a player from the squad all of a sudden. We have to provide them with another opportunity to perform well. Pawan Ratnayaka has been brought in as a replacement. I don't make these decisions by myself. Kamindu is a player that we value a lot. The decision was a collective one. We know that our team has a real chance to play well and reach the final. However, the process is what's most important. Regarding this England tour, all the players are looking forward to performing at their absolute best.
Sri Lanka and England have faced each other in 14 T20 matches so far, with England winning 10 and Sri Lanka securing 4 victories. Tomorrow's match is scheduled to start at 7 p.m.
And with that, we wrap up primetime news for tonight.
Thank you for watching.
Good night.